After graduation, the four of us set off on a road trip. My boyfriend had stuffed a whole backpack full of snacks. Hardly had we settled into the car when he thrust the bag toward my best friend, Lucy, with an impatient huff. "All right, snack monster, dig in. Keep that mouth busy, and don't bug my girl the whole ride, got it?" Lucy blew up at once. "Chloe would never find me annoying, you tattletale." I remembered I'd skipped breakfast that morning, so I rummaged through the bag and pulled out a small bun, chocolate-filled. I peeked deeper, and everything inside was chocolate-based. My boyfriend glanced over. "Chloe, this stuff's all for the snack monster. I'll buy you something proper when we hit the highway rest stop." According to the GPS, the next rest stop was still 12 miles away. Lucy was chewing on a chocolate candy. "Chloe, you should eat something. You'll feel awful if your blood sugar drops." She was looking out for me, but she'd forgotten I'm allergic to chocolate. I smiled and said it was fine, then took a coconut hard candy Sean's best friend held out to me. The coconut candy melted slowly on my tongue, sweet and mild. The bickering up front showed no sign of stopping. Lucy thought the song Sean was playing was too loud and reached over to skip it. Sean immediately skipped right back. They poked at the screen back and forth like kindergartners fighting over a toy. "All you pick is bubblegum pop. Zero taste." Sean frowned. "Yours just sounds like droning nonsense. I can't understand a word." Lucy shot right back. Finally, an old nostalgic track came on, and somehow, they both started humming along at the same time. The car fell quiet for a little while. "Hey, Sean, what's up with your GPS? Feels like we're going the long way around." Lucy's voice broke the silence again. "The system planned this route. It's smarter than you." Sean didn't even glance over. "Then date the navigation system, why don't you?" Sean glanced at me in the rearview mirror, a smug, self-satisfied smirk tugging at his lips. "Can't do that. My girl's right here listening." I said nothing. Lucy curled her lip, then dropped a bombshell. "Talk about that, you messed with the acknowledgements in her senior thesis. She must be so annoyed with you." The music kept playing, but the air in the car turned thick and still. Sean's smile froze on his face. I spoke up. "It's fine." The two up front both seemed to breathe a sigh of relief, and drifted back into casual chatter about other things. In the rearview mirror, Sean couldn't see my face. He couldn't see me turn my head slightly and meet the gaze of his best friend, Ryan. Ryan was sitting right next to me. I gave him a small smile and mouthed silently, "Thank you." Ryan had been the one to catch the messed-up acknowledgements, something Sean had tampered with as a joke, when he'd proofread my final draft. He'd fixed it quietly, without making a fuss. "Is the air conditioning a little cold?" When Ryan spoke, I glanced down at my arm on instinct. Goosebumps had pricked across my skin without me noticing. "Cold? Please." Sean didn't turn around, his tone just as impatient as ever. "You know the snack monster runs hot. She'd whine non-stop if she had to wear a jacket. You run warm, though, you don't mind, right?" Lucy immediately twisted halfway around from the passenger seat. "How many times do I have to say it? You're the snack monster." Ryan said nothing more. I heard the zip of his backpack opening, followed by the soft rustle of fabric. He folded a thin dark gray blanket in half twice and laid it across my lap. I stared down at the blanket on my legs and didn't move. Sean spotted it in the rearview mirror. He paused mid-bicker and reached over to turn the AC up 2 degrees. Lucy yelped at once. "What are you doing?" "I'm hot." "Deal with it." "No way." "Then roll the window down." "The wind noise is terrible." "I don't feel like going deaf because you can't handle the heat." "Then shut up." "You shut up." They were at it again, back and forth in a never-ending tug of war. I spread the blanket out over my legs. It was clean and smelled faintly of laundry detergent. I leaned against the window and closed my eyes. My lids grew heavier and heavier. Half asleep, I heard Lucy complaining about something, and Sean shooting back a reply. Then they both burst out laughing. Their laughter was loud, bouncing off the car walls. But it all sounded muffled, like it was coming through water, faint and far away. I drifted off to sleep. When I woke up, the car was parked. It was a small highway rest stop, with a few freight trucks lined up side by side. The AC was blowing even colder than before I'd fallen asleep, cold air hitting me straight in the face. I shivered, then realized there was an extra layer draped over me, a thick, oversized dark gray windbreaker, the sleeves hanging far past my wrists. The front seats were empty, both passenger and driver's side. Ryan was the only other person in the car, sitting in the window seat beside me, scrolling quietly through his phone. I sat up, and the jacket slipped off my shoulders. I caught it on instinct. "You're awake." Ryan didn't look up, his voice flat and even. "Where are they?" "Went inside to grab stuff." He paused a beat. "They got into another fight just now." "Oh." He added, "Lucy said lower AC saves more battery." Sean didn't buy it, and they went at it. Eventually Lucy got mad and cranked it all the way down. "Then what?" "Then Sean said he'd take pity on her and gave her his jacket." My hand froze mid-air. If that was the case, whose jacket was I wearing? I glanced down at the windbreaker spread across my lap. "It's mine." Ryan's voice came from beside me. "Borrow it for now." I opened my mouth to say thank you, but before I could, the car door slid open. Lucy leaned halfway in, holding a bag of snacks, and called out to me. "Chloe, you're up. Come on, get out and take pictures. The clouds out here are insane." Sean was right behind her, holding a flimsy, half-empty plastic bag in one hand and his phone in the other, the camera pointed straight at Lucy. "Don't cover your face. Your mouth looked all wonky in the last one. Yours is wonky. Don't blame me just because you're a terrible photographer." "Terrible? I'm just capturing what's right in front of me." "Sean, I swear I'm gonna fight you." By the time I got out of the car, they'd bickered their way over to the viewing platform. It wasn't really a photo shoot, Lucy was posing non-stop, and Sean was just hitting the shutter over and over. His camera never left her the whole time. He told her to lean on the rail, to turn sideways, then reached out to tuck a strand of wind-tousled hair behind her ear. I stood a few paces away on the concrete, wind whipping my hair across my face. Lucy swiped through the album, then turned to me with a playful whine. "Chloe, look what he did. He made me look like I'm 5 feet tall." I leaned in to look. They weren't good shots, crooked framing, blurry focus, but Lucy was dead center in every single one. Sean's focus had never wavered from her. "I'll take another one." Sean lifted his phone, impatient. "Stand still, okay?" Right before he hit the shutter, he spotted me. "Hey, Chloe, see me here. I'll get a photo of you two together." I walked over. Lucy looped her arm through mine naturally, our shoulders pressed close. Sean crouched down to line up the shot, pointing the camera at both of us. He counted down. 3, 2, 1. The second the shutter clicked, I turned my head away on instinct. The air went still for a beat. Sean lowered his phone, frowning. "What's wrong?" "I'm taking a photo of you two, aren't I?" "Chloe, you're not actually jealous, are you? I bicker with her to make you laugh." "Why do you never get that?" Lucy chimed in. "Yeah, Chloe, Sean and I are just messing around. Don't take it seriously." I didn't reply. I turned and started walking back toward the car. Behind me, I heard them arguing in hushed tones. "This is your fault. You made her mad." "My fault? You looked terrible in those photos." "Then why didn't you take better ones?" Their voices faded as I walked. When I reached the car, I heard footsteps behind me, slow, steady, keeping a pace or two behind. I didn't turn around. Ryan said nothing, just followed at that quiet, respectful distance. The second half of the drive climbed steadily higher in elevation. Lucy finally tired herself out, curling up in the passenger seat and falling quiet, her breathing growing slow and deep. Sean turned the music down and glanced at the passenger seat in the rearview mirror again and again. I kept my eyes closed, resting. Ryan watched the mountains go by outside. We sat in silence for a long time. "Chloe," Sean said suddenly, "your thesis, you passed the blind peer review, right?" I opened my eyes. "I passed." "Oh. Who'd you put in the acknowledgements, then?" The person who was supposed to be asleep in the passenger seat jolted upright at once. "Why are you asking her that? Can't I be curious? You never cared about her thesis before. Can't I start caring now?" Such a fake. Sean popped a candy into her mouth, the movement so practiced it looked like he'd done it 1,000 times. I stared at the backs of their heads, my voice steady. "Lots of people. My advisor, classmates, roommates. What about me?" I paused for a second. "You're in there too." Sean huffed a laugh and turned back to the road. I didn't look at him. Ryan turned his head and glanced at my profile. He saw it, the faint smile on my lips that never reached my eyes. When we reached the trailhead, Sean gently shook Lucy awake. I got out of the car first. Low, dusty bushes clung to the ground on either side, beaten flat by the high-altitude wind. A gust of wind sent cold air seeping down my collar. The first half of the hike went smoothly. The turning point came at a viewing platform halfway up the mountain. Lucy was leaning over the rail, holding her phone high to photograph the snow-capped mountains in the distance. As she leaned back, an oxygen canister slipped out of her backpack side pocket and went tumbling down the slope. She yelped and turned to Sean. "Sean, my oxygen's gone." The canister bounced twice on the loose rock before coming to rest under a bush. The slope was too steep to climb down after it. Without a second thought, Sean unclipped the canister hanging from his chest and held it out to her. Lucy waved it away. No, I couldn't take yours, wouldn't look right, you know?" "Chloe'll get mad again." Sean clicked his tongue in annoyance, then turned and unzipped the side pocket of my backpack. My hand was only halfway up when he'd already pulled it out. "Use clothes. Stop being so dramatic about it." Lucy took it. I stood a few feet away, watching my oxygen canister settle in her palm. Sean didn't even glance my way. Lucy slung the canister around her neck and smiled at me. "Thanks, Chloe. I'll buy you a new one later, I promise." Before I could say anything, she'd turned and kept hiking. Sean followed right behind her, saying something that made her turn around and kick him playfully. They both laughed. We hiked higher, until we were around 13,500 feet above sea level. My breaths grew shallow, and I had to stop every few steps to catch my breath. About 20 minutes later, it hit me. I stopped and gasped for air, but it didn't help. My heart thudded heavy in my chest, and my temples pounded. My vision spotted over again and again. I crouched down, one hand braced on my knee, my head hanging low. "Sean." My voice was thin, carried away by the wind. He didn't answer. He was about 40 feet ahead, bent down adjusting the straps of Lucy's oxygen mask. A high-pitched ring started in my ears. "Sean," I called a little louder, "pass me the oxygen, please." He finally turned around. But when he reached me, his first words weren't to ask if I was okay. "Chloe, Lucy's your best friend, isn't she? What's the big deal if she borrows it? Why do you always have to make a fuss over stupid stuff like this?" I watched his mouth move, but the ringing in my ears grew louder. Wind howled around me, and all I could hear was my own ragged breathing. My legs went weak. Sean kept talking, but I couldn't make out the words anymore. Then a hand reached over from my right. Long, clean fingers pressed a plastic oxygen mask to my face. Oxygen flooded my nose. I breathed it in, again and again, on instinct. The black spots in my vision slowly faded. Ryan was kneeling on one knee in front of me, one hand holding the mask in place, the other cupping the back of my head to tilt it forward. His voice was low and steady. "Don't tilt your head back. Breathe deep. In, hold 3 seconds, out." I did as he said. The heavy weight on my chest finally lifted a little. Sean stood a few feet away, his expression finally shifting. Ryan didn't look at him. His lips were tinged purple. After a few more deep breaths, the double vision finally cleared. Ryan's hand was still cupping the back of my head, his palm cool to the touch. His breathing was far heavier than before, his chest rising and falling sharply with each breath, but he didn't move. "Feeling better?" I nodded. He pulled his hand away and pushed himself up off his knee, moving slowly. He closed his eyes for a second once he was standing, steadying himself before opening them again. I noticed his lips were still a dark, bruised purple. My voice was hoarse. "I'm fine." He cut me off, tone mild. "I've got good lung capacity. Altitude doesn't hit me that hard." I knew he was lying. Someone who was truly fine would be like Sean, yapping and complaining the whole way up, full of energy. Lucy came running back from up ahead, clutching my oxygen canister. Her face was a mix of panic and guilt. "Chloe. I'm so sorry, I had no idea." She held the canister out to me, and I took it. Lucy froze for a second, her face falling. "I just panicked. Sean said you could hold out a little longer." She rambled on, getting more flustered by the second, until she finally fell silent. Sean stood a few feet away, his expression unreadable. He looked at Ryan, then at me, his mouth opening and closing, but nothing came out. I clipped the oxygen canister back to my chest. On the hike down, the 4 of us walked in 4 separate, distant lines. Lucy walked at the very front, glancing back at me every now and then, her eyes wary and unsure. Sean walked about 15 feet behind her, glancing my way over and over, but he never came closer. Ryan kept his pace slow and steady, but I could hear his short, rapid breaths with every step. I walked a few more steps, then stopped, turned around, and held the oxygen canister out to him. He glanced at it and shook his head. "Keep it. You need it. Your lips are still purple. It'll pass once we're down." I didn't push it. I pulled the canister back and kept walking. By the time we reached the bottom, the sky was darkening. The parking lot was nearly empty, and the wind was strong, dust coating the sides of the cars. Sean opened the passenger door. Lucy took a step toward it out of habit, then paused. She glanced at me, then opened the back door and climbed in instead. Sean stood outside the car, looking at me. "Chloe, we need to talk." I didn't move. "You sit up front," I said. "No, I know." I looked him straight in the eye. "You were just messing around. There's nothing between you two. She's my best friend, and I shouldn't have overthought it." He stared, stunned. You just said everything I was gonna say." "Yeah." I nodded. "I said it for you. What about you? Got anything to add?" He opened his mouth, but said nothing. I pulled open the back door and got in. Ryan was already there, leaning against the window with his eyes closed, his breathing a little calmer now. The car started up, and warm air blew from the vents. The drive back was silent. Lucy didn't ask for music, didn't complain about the heat. Sean didn't say a word either, only glancing back in the rearview mirror every now and then. I leaned against the window in the back, watching the dark silhouettes of mountains slip by. It was quiet. Quiet like I'd never felt before. When we pulled into town, the streetlights were on. Warm yellow light swept across my lap in steady, flickering streaks. I spoke up. Pull over at the next rest stop up ahead. Sean pulled over. Before he could even turn the engine off, I unbuckled my seatbelt and grabbed my bag. Chloe? He panicked, fumbling with his own seatbelt. Where are you going? I got out, closed the door, and stood under the streetlight, looking at his face poking out the window. We're done. The two words hung in the air, and he froze completely. What did you say? I said we're breaking up. Just because of today? I already explained it. There's really nothing going on between us. It's not about her, I said. It's about you. The wind was strong, whipping my hair against my face. Sean got out of the car, walked around the front, and stood in front of me. He stared at me, dazed. Ryan got out too, standing on the other side of the car, not coming closer. I looked into his eyes I'd known for 5 years, eyes I knew better than my own. But right now, they looked like they belonged to a stranger. Sean, have you ever noticed you've never once remembered I'm allergic to chocolate? His face fell. I've told you so many times. But every time Lucy hands you chocolate, you take it and pass it straight to me. His hands hung at his sides, clenching into fists then loosening again. I realized something today, I said. It's not that you have a bad memory. You just never bothered to care enough to remember. The day after we broke up, my phone blew up with messages. Sean sent 43 WhatsApp messages, ranging from calm down, let's talk about this properly to I know I messed up to can you stop being so heartless. There was even a voice message at 2 a.m. I never played it. Lucy sent messages too. I didn't reply to any of them. On the third day, Sean showed up outside my office building. I walked out after work to find him leaning against the wall by the security booth. He stood up straight the second he saw me. Chloe. I kept walking. He followed, reaching for my arm, but I stepped out of his reach. Just 5 minutes. Hear me out, and I'll leave right after. I promise. I stopped and stepped back, keeping about 1.5 feet between us. He flinched at the distance, a flicker of hurt crossing his face. I know I messed up that day. I admit it. I just acted without thinking, that's all. It's not that you didn't think, I said. It's that you didn't even have to think to make that choice. He stared, stunned. In your head, my oxygen was just her backup. You didn't even hesitate. You just took it. That's not what I meant. What you mean is, it never even crossed your mind that I might need it too. His mouth moved, but no words came out. I turned and walked away. He called out after me. I really am sorry. I didn't look back. On the 4th day, I started packing. The 2-bedroom apartment I'd been renting with Sean, we'd lived there for over 2 years. The living room was full of traces of our life together. The game controller he'd bought hung next to the TV I'd picked out. His half-empty protein powder sat on top of the water dispenser I'd purchased. In the kitchen, the fruit we'd bought together the weekend before sat forgotten, strawberries already gone bad, rotting at the bottom of the storage container. I packed all my things into 2 suitcases and 1 storage bin. I didn't take a single thing that belonged to him, that he'd bought, or that reminded me of him. When the landlord came to inspect the place, he glanced at me and didn't ask any questions. He refunded half the security deposit, and told me to ask Sean for the other half. I said not to bother. I was dragging my suitcases downstairs when my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I answered. It's Ryan, the voice on the other end said. I paused, surprised. How'd you get my number? Sean gave it to me once. There was a 2-second silence. He told me you're moving out. Yeah. Found a place to stay yet? Just booked a hotel for now. Which part of town are you heading to? I told him the neighborhood. He was quiet for a few seconds, then said, I've got a small place over there that's empty. You can stay there for now, if you don't mind. My first instinct was to say no. But he added, don't decide yet. Send me your hotel address. I'm heading that way anyway. After we hung up, I stood at the entrance of the apartment complex, staring at the address on my screen. In the end, I sent it to him. An hour later, Ryan showed up in the hotel lobby. He didn't say much, just helped me with my suitcases, walked me to the parking lot, and opened the passenger door for me. The car was spotless inside, and the AC was set to a comfortable temperature. The heat's on a little high. Say something if you get too warm, he said. I didn't feel warm. I'm planning to move abroad, I said. He glanced over at me, but didn't say anything. I applied to a few companies overseas. One of them got back to me for a final interview. When's the final interview? Next week. He nodded. A long moment passed before he spoke again. If you need help with anything, just say the word. He didn't ask if I'd ever come back. He didn't ask why I was leaving. He didn't say a single word in Sean's defense. After that, I moved into that small apartment. It was a 2-bedroom place, not big, but clean. Ryan stopped by every now and then to fix a broken light or help with small things. He never stayed long, an hour or two at most, and always took the trash out before he left. I'd thank him, and he'd just shake his head. The days leading up to my final interview, he sent me a message, * left some drinks in the fridge to keep you awake. Don't drink too much coffee, *. I opened the fridge and found several bottles of honey citrus tea, labeled low sugar and caffeine-free. The day of my final interview, I walked out of the conference room to a call from Sean. I didn't answer. He called 3 more times. I blocked his number. A message from Ryan popped up, * done? I'm downstairs, *. I paused, surprised, and walked to the window. A dark gray car was parked at the curb below. The person inside didn't rush me, didn't call. He just waited quietly, the same way he'd done every single day in the month I'd known him. When I walked out of the building, the street lights were just turning on. Autumn wind slipped down my collar, sharp and cool. He got out of the car, opened the passenger door, and waited for me to get in. Want to get something to eat? He asked. Sure. The city lights drifted slowly past the window, stretching into long glowing lines. I thought to myself that I was probably already starting to move on. It happened 3 days after my final interview. I never thought Sean would track me down here. That evening, I'd gone to the convenience store to pick up a few things. As I rounded the corner of the building on my way back, I saw a figure crouched by the building entrance. He looked up when he heard my footsteps. Sean's eyes were red and puffy, like he hadn't slept in days. Chloe. I stood still, watching him walk toward me. You live here? He asked. I didn't answer. Why won't you answer my calls? I shifted my shopping bag to my other hand, my voice calm. Sean, we broke up. Broke up nothing? His voice shot up. You think one line ends it? We were together 3 years. 3 years. He took a step toward me. I stepped back on instinct. He saw me flinch and froze for a second. Where is he? His voice started to shake. Is he living here with you? Sean, you need to calm down. I asked you if he is, he yelled, loud enough for the whole street to hear. I gripped the handles of my shopping bag tight. Before I could answer, he suddenly lunged toward the building entrance. I ran after him to stop him, but just as he shoved the door open, a strong arm blocked his way. Ryan. Ryan said nothing. Sean's jaw twitched, and his eyes grew redder. What are you doing here? His voice was rough. I'm here for my girlfriend. What the hell are you blocking the door for? Ryan's voice was perfectly calm. Who'd you say you're here for? Your best friend's girl. Sean practically roared. Don't act like you don't know who she is. Ryan didn't move. He glanced down at Sean's feet, then lifted his gaze back to his face, steady and unflinching. You show up at my door, yelling at someone I care about, and you ask why I'm blocking you? Sean froze. I thought we were brothers. Ryan slipped his phone back into his pocket, his tone mild. Then you can thank your girl for that. The words hit Sean like a knife, twisted in a place he'd never expected to be cut. Ryan didn't look at him again. He turned his head and glanced at me, a silent question, you coming? I held my shopping bag, stepped around Sean, and moved behind Ryan. Ryan stepped aside to let me in, but stayed in the doorway himself. He looked at Sean and said, Don't come back. Sean stood under the streetlight. There was a soft click of metal, and the door closed right in front of him. He didn't try to open it again. Inside, I leaned against the hallway wall, still holding my bag of convenience store things. Ryan stood in front of me. He didn't say a word, just reached out and took the heavy bag from my hands. Wanna move somewhere else? I looked at him and nodded. He didn't ask any more questions. He just turned and walked into the living room to start packing my things. I found myself wondering how many times he'd stepped in to shield me like this. When the elevator reached the ground floor, I glanced down through the window at the end of the hallway. Sean was gone. The streetlight stood over an empty sidewalk. Only the wind moved across the pavement, swirling a few dry fallen leaves in its wake. He wouldn't be coming back. I was packing when Lucy called. She tried 5 times, and I declined every single one. On the 6th call, I finally picked up. Chloe, can you just let me explain? There's nothing to explain, I said. I really didn't mean it. I gave the oxygen back to you later, didn't I? Can you just forgive me? We've been best friends for so many years. Best friends. I repeated the word, and it almost made me laugh. Do you even know I'm allergic to chocolate? The line went dead silent. Do you have any idea how scared I was, before my thesis blind review, that something messed up would be in those acknowledgements? I don't know if she was listening. She was quiet for about 5 seconds, then spoke again, her voice wobbly with tears. But Sean fixed it later, right? Nothing bad happened. Is it really that big of a deal? Do you have to hold it against me? I hung up. She didn't call again. I heard from someone that Sean called her for hours that night. Sean took all his anger out on her. He yelled at her over the phone, called her out of line, shameless, said she was always inserting herself between him and me. Lucy tried to explain at first, said they were just close friends, that she hadn't meant anything by it. But Sean just got meaner and meaner. You're the one who's been all over me non-stop. That's why Chloe couldn't take it anymore. Do you even know she moved out? She moved in with Ryan. That set Lucy off too. Blame me? Did I make you give me your oxygen? Sean, don't act like you're innocent here. You practically forced it on me. Chloe was standing right there watching, and you still shoved it at me. Now you're pinning it all on me? Then why didn't you say no? I did say no. I said I didn't want it, and you made me take it. Then why'd you take it? Couldn't you have bought your own? You asshole. Lucy's voice sharpened. You were the one falling all over yourself to impress me, and now you're acting like you had nothing to do with it. Sean, you're such a piece of shit. The call went on for nearly 2 hours. It ended with both of them blocking each other. I thought that was the end of it. But a week later, in the evening, Lucy sent me a video. I opened it. It was Sean, wasted at a bar, slouched in a booth, crying to some girl he'd just met. The girl, clearly a stranger, in a slip dress, tried to pull her wrist away, but he held on tight. Sean kept slurring, Chloe, why won't you answer my calls? I'll change. I'll change everything. The girl tried to pull away, uncomfortable, but couldn't. Under the video was a text, asterisk look how heartbroken your ex is. So devoted, asterisk. After I watched it, I showed the video to Ryan. He was quiet for a minute, then asked, what do you want to do about it? Nothing. I deleted my chat with Lucy. But Lucy clearly wasn't done. Over the next week, she sent 5 or 6 more messages, ranging from Chloe, I really am sorry, to Sean's a loser, he never deserved you, to Ryan's not some great guy either, you know how many people he hooked up with in college? I didn't reply to a single one. She started getting desperate. One afternoon, she showed up right outside my building. I was coming back from errands, wearing headphones, and didn't notice her. She hurried after me and grabbed the strap of my backpack. I turned around. Her makeup was completely ruined, eyeliner smudged all under her eyes, like she'd been crying all day. Chloe, say something, please. Her voice was hoarse. Yell at me, hit me, whatever. Just don't ignore me. I took off my headphones. What do you want me to say? Say you forgive me. I forgive you. She froze, clearly not expecting me to say it so easily. And then what? I said. We go back to being best friends? Eat together, shop together, tell each other all our secrets, just like before. Lucy, can you promise this will never happen again? She opened her mouth, but said nothing. You can't, I said. Because you don't even think you did anything wrong. You're just upset you lost a free ride, that's all. Her face went pale. You've got some nerve saying that. She suddenly screamed, her voice rising sharp and loud. You're living with Ryan now, don't think I don't know. Sean's drinking himself sick over you, and here you are, hooking up with his best friend right after. I looked at her, and I wasn't angry. Instead, a strange, calm stillness settled in my chest. You done? She didn't say anything, just stared daggers at me. Then I'll say this. I have never done anything to hurt anyone. After that, I turned and walked toward the building. I heard quick footsteps behind me, then they stopped. Lucy's voice called after me, thick with tears and rage. You'll regret this, Chloe. Someday you're gonna regret it. I didn't look back. At 11 o'clock that night, Ryan sent me a link. It was a screenshot from his team Slack channel. Some industry contact had sent him a rumor, saying he'd stolen his best friend's girlfriend. He'd ignored the rumor. He just sent me the screenshot with one line, she went to Sean with it. I stared at the message and replied with one word, yeah. Sean never replied to Lucy. And Lucy never messaged me again. And just like that, the two of them, all their so-called deep friendship, shattered completely, ground to dust under the weight of their own blame and excuses. The best outcome was to never cross paths again. The job offer came exactly a week later. I was squatting on the floor of my new rented apartment, unpacking a delivery, when my phone buzzed. An email in English popped up in my notifications. I opened it, read through it top to bottom, then sat on the cold floor and stared into space for a long time. I sent Ryan a message, I got it. He replied instantly, congratulations. Then another message, asterisk what do you want to eat tonight? My treat, asterisk. I picked a premium beef hot pot place right by my apartment complex. When Ryan arrived, he was carrying a paper bag. He set it down in front of me, sat down, and poured tea, saying nothing. What's this? Open it and see. I opened the bag. Inside was a small mint green thermos, printed with the airport code of the city I was moving to. I looked it up. It's dry over there. He dipped his chopsticks in the boiling broth to clean them. Your throat gets sore easily. Stay hydrated. I held the thermos, running my thumb over the raised letters, and said nothing. The pot came to a boil. Ryan dropped a plate of premium tender beef slices in, counted the seconds, then fished them out and put them in my bowl. Eat some yourself. I'm not hungry. I picked up a piece of meat and put it in his bowl. He paused, surprised, then smiled down at his bowl and ate it. When we were almost done, I set my chopsticks down and looked at him across the table. He was cooking the last plate of crispy beef brisket fat, his movements focused and careful, like it was the most important thing in the world. Ryan. Don't you have something you want to say to me? His chopsticks froze. The piece of beef fat slipped off and fell back into the pot, sending a tiny splash of oil into the air. He set his chopsticks down, wiped his hands with a napkin, and looked up at me. Yeah. He said the one word, then fell silent for a long time. White steam rose from the hot pot between us, blurring his face. Chloe, he said, his voice steady, but I saw his Adam's apple bob once. When you get over there, you're gonna meet so many people. New coworkers, new friends. You might even meet someone better than me. I didn't say anything. I waited for him to go on. I know I missed my chance. He dropped his gaze to the stack of empty plates on the table. I should have stepped in sooner, that day on the mountain. Before that, in the car, at the rest stop, I should have spoken up for you more. You did more than enough. It wasn't enough. He looked up at me. I wish I'd done it sooner. Better. He took a deep breath. So I want to tell you, once you're settled over there, whether it's a year from now or 2. If you still want me then, if you still think I'm all right, I can put in for a transfer to the branch office there. I looked him straight in the eye. The hot pot bubbled softly between us. I picked up the mint green thermos, twisted off the lid, and took a sip. The water was warm, not too hot, not too cold. Just right. You can put in for the transfer now. Something flickered in his eyes. I don't leave for 3 months. I set the thermos down and looked at him. What, you gonna make me spend all 3 months alone? He stared at me, and a smile spread across his face before he even spoke. Like hell I will. There you go, then. For those 3 months, he picked me up from work, went with me to get my visa, helped me look at rental listings overseas, and hauled 23 cardboard boxes downstairs to be shipped. He learned how to cook all my favorite dishes, and memorized every single one of my allergies. On the day I left, he stood outside the security checkpoint at the airport. No hug, no big emotional speech. He just handed me my suitcase and said, "Text me when you land." I took the suitcase, then pulled the mint green thermos out of my backpack side pocket and held it up for him to see. Don't worry. I'll stay hydrated. He smiled. I turned and walked through security, and I didn't look back. But I knew he'd still be standing there. He'd stay for a long time. After the plane took off, I opened the window shade. I suddenly thought of that afternoon in the car, so long ago now, when he'd laid that blanket across my lap. I hadn't been in love with him then. But that quiet figure had planted a seed in my heart. It had grown slowly, under the snow-capped mountains, in the city streets, in all those quiet, steady moments of him just being there.